What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Technical Foul Podcast. You're here with Jack Anderson, and I'm flanked by JP Pusilowski and Sanders Oakley. How are y'all doing, guys?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
Yeah, been a good weekend for y'all?
It was a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, actually, it was supposed to rain and all weekend, and I don't think it rained that I noticed at all.
We got some Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, but I think I was asleep watching basketball.
We were
They rained up
watching
until,
basketball.
There
Sure.
was nothing to watch.
Yeah, but anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll get into it shortly. We're just gonna give a MSU sports recap as we always do on Sundays. Recap the basketball games from over the weekend. Not all of them, but we'll give our biggest games, biggest takeaways from the games. Sadly, another big weekend of chalk, but we'll get into that. And then we have some podcast business to attend to. Y'all can join us for that. We have to name our new chicken. If you follow us on the socials, you may have noticed we've updated our profile picture. We have a nice new chicken graphic that goes with our name, Technical Foul. It's pretty cool, but we have to give the chicken a name. And so we'll get into that later. But yeah, JP, you want to hop in?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with softball. The Bulldogs played a doubleheader on Friday. They won
Game one
on a walk-off double. And then they lost game two, unfortunately. They're up 3-0 going in, or they were up 3-0 at one point, up 3-2 going to the top of seventh. And then Texas came alive. The number one team in the nation showed. And we unfortunately lost game two of the doubleheader. And then we lost today, Sunday, 7-2 in the last game. Sanders was working the game. He was boots on the ground. Sanders, you got some takes from this big weekend in the SEC?
Yeah, this softball team is very good. I have gotten to watch a good bit of softball working the games last year and now this year. We have a pitcher, Raylan Chafin. I don't know if y'all have heard about her, but she is a very good pitcher. She's doing things that I saw the best pitcher in the country do last year. One of the craziest things about softball is you can have a pitcher, and I watched the A&M pitcher do this last year. Start a game, close the next game in a doubleheader, and then come back the next day and start that game. So she plays in all three games in a weekend. And my mind was blown. And I told one of my bosses, I was like, oh, yeah, you remember last year? He goes, yeah, our pitcher's going to do that this weekend. I was like, no way. Anyway. So she went sicko mode in game one. We had a walk-off. We pinch hit a freshman. I can't remember her first name, but something Ernstus. And she hit it was a double down the left field line. And we sent the runner home. And on the throw to home, the third baseman just basically knocked out of the air, and it was just easy. I mean, she just kind of walked in. So, yeah, it was electric. It was really fun. So I had a great time at the softball games. And then today's game was rough. I mean, Texas's bats were just very hot, and we couldn't get anything going. So
yeah, you get to see the same pitcher for a whole weekend. Eventually, they'll
yeah,
figure
that was
her
one
out.
thing. I kind of had that same thought. I mean, I'm not going to question coaches, and she's good enough to where it makes sense. But watching softball, I was like, does it not get? I mean, you've seen the same girl for 3 days in a row or 3 games in a row.
Depends on how good they are, I guess.
Yeah. If the stuff is doing it, then it doesn't really matter. In baseball, if a guy's throwing 100 and then his slider is 90 backing it up, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But a Texas number one team in the nation.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention.
That. Yeah, go ahead.
We were a part of history on Friday because Friday, I believe, was the first time in history the number one and number two team in the country lost on the same day. Oklahoma was number 2. They lost to Tennessee. Texas was number 1. They lost to us. So, yeah.
Horns down, as always.
It was a big moment, pretty cool for us. So, top 25 team continuing to compete against the best teams in the country, and very, very excited to see what kind of happens for the rest of the season. Right now, we're talking about hosting regional/super regional. I was heard earlier today, so
yeah,
hopefully that plays out.
Definitely squarely in regional hosting conversation. We probably have to do a little bit of work to get us into a super regional spot, but it's definitely doable. The door's still open.
Yeah, Bulldogs are now 29-8, and they're 6-3 in the SEC. Playing some good teams to start the season, playing Texas and Alabama.
Ranked Auburn, ranked Alabama, ranked
yeah.
Texas are our 3 series we've played.
So
and we won 2 of those.
That's pretty darn good. And even losing a series to the number one team in the nation isn't something to hold any shame about. Now on to something to hold some shame about. State baseball, another unfortunately bad weekend. The Dogs won the midweek game against Sanford, and then traveled down to the Bayou and lost 3 straight games to LSU. unfortunate for the team. We kind of didn't take advantage of it. The games were so rain delayed, and they had to, especially the last 2 games, they had to get them in, and so the game 2, first pitch was 9:05, and then game 3, first pitch was 9:35. And last night's game didn't end. This morning's game didn't end until 1:30 ish, nearly 2 a.m. The Bulldogs, I'll give this stat. This is through SEC play. This is runners left on base. In 9 games, they have not had less runners left on base than the other team. They have averaged
9 games of SEC play.
9 games of FCC play. They're averaging 8.22 runners left on base per game in SEC play. And the Dogs have been in these games. They're losing by 2 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. This weekend at LSU, the first game, 6-6 in runners left on base. The second game, a 2-1 game where Pico Cone was outstanding again. The Bulldogs were 12-4 in runners left on base in a 2-1 ball game. Simply inexcusable. 12 runners left on base in a 2-1 game where you get another outstanding start from your ace. And then in the third game, it was 11-9. The Dogs have tied twice, but have yet to win, essentially winning the less runners left on base in 9 games in SEC play. I don't know the statistics on average with runners in scoring position, but obviously with that, it's not very good. It's simply just been a very, very poor showing from this team with runners on base.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not what you want. And it's one of the most frustrating things as a fan is to leave runners on base, bases loaded, strikeouts, whatever it is, you name it. I'm not a baseball boomer. I'm a pretty big analytics guy. I don't necessarily believe in like ABC baseball. Just try and put the ball in play. For the most part, I do think there's some chances for it, and State's inability to just kind of push a run across when it matters the most has really hurt this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying all season that I mean, we're up to how many losses total now? What's our record?
We're 1-8 in SEC.
1-8, 16-12 total. I think that in 10 of our losses, and this is just off the dome, so this is not backed up by stats, but I think that within 10 of our losses, we were like one swing away in the 9th inning from tying or winning.
Just can't get it
I
done.
know that the Samford game at home, we had that. I know that in a couple of an OU game, an LSU game, just so many games. I think the Southern Miss on the road, the Troy game at home, not Samford. We beat Samford. The Troy game at home, the Troy game at Troy. No, at home. We lost
at home.
Yeah. All these baseball games run together. All these opportunities we had, and we just didn't capitalize. It's just tough because, it happens once and you go, well, you can't win them all. But it continues to happen. And yeah, like Jack said, it's very frustrating to see as a fan. Yeah, and I know that a lot of fans are kind of experiencing that frustration and expressing that frustration. The guys on this baseball team are awesome. Especially Noah Sullivan. That dude is an absolute animal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dude is was at 400 and may have dropped just below it this last weekend at LSU. Pitching the midweek games, couple innings in a midweek game, pitching well. I think he still has a 0 ERA through 7 innings pitched at total in 3 midweek games.
Not bad.
So, yeah. I mean, definitely.
The next Shohei Ohtani, you heard it here first.
A very small sample size as a pitcher, but does his job pitching and is our best hitter by far. Guys like Ace Reese who bring power that is very fun to watch. I mean, that guy comes up to the plate and it can be electric when that ball leaves his bat. So there are definitely guys on the team, and I wanted to put it together. It hasn't happened yet. I hope it does, but yeah, it's definitely frustrating kind of where we are right now as a baseball team, leaving so many guys on base and wasting what could very well easily be wins.
Yeah. It feels very similar to when I watched the A&M baseball team this year, which is an even worse position considering what we were supposed to be.
Are y'all also 1-8?
We've lost 14 games already this year, making the postseason all is a pipe dream at this point. The inability to play a complete game in all 3 phases of hitting, fielding, and pitching, is just terrible. Our starting pitching has been great all season, and then this weekend, we give up at least 7 runs in all 3 games and lose the series because of it. The one game we did win, we won 9-7. We lose the game 14-11 because the bats finally show up a little bit, and it just doesn't matter because then the pitching decides to fall flat on its face. It's just very frustrating. Kind of similar, very similar position to State, honestly, is that our softball team's number 5 in the country. And so hopefully that's at least something people can get behind and have more fan support for that as they put together a really special year. And, people can remember that there's more sports on campus than just the big 3.
It kind of sounds like our state team from 2023. Before we had Justin Parker, I mean, we were losing shootout after shootout because we had guys like Colton Ledbetter. We had a sophomore Hunter Hines, which was one of his better hitting, probably his best hitting year. We had freshman Dakota Jordan. We had guys like Mershawn was still there. So, I mean, batting, we were very impressive, but we were losing shootouts because we couldn't pitch. And, we kind of got that fixed, but it sounds like a very similar. I mean, we were losing games like 18-15.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing. It's like, but coming into this weekend, we had the second best ERA in the conference.
Really?
But we just couldn't hit. We decided to hit for a weekend. Sunday game, we didn't hit great, but we hit fine. And then it's like the pitching decides to collapse, and it's a weekend you're going, man, we really could use a sweep, and the bats were there to support that, and pitching just died on us.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, that's another
it's tough.
Odd thing about the team is statistically in just about everything, we are one of the best teams as far as pitching staff goes. If you look at about every metric, we're like top 5 in the SEC. Hitting, we're up there. It's just, I think it might come down to that one, as Josh Pate says, a padlock stat. We are good at just about everything except for leaving guys on base, and it's cooked us. So.
It comes back to haunt you. I mean, the Braves were 1 for 22 this weekend with runners in scoring position and lost all 4 games. And most of those were very winnable games, couple run games. But
who was the fourth?
Couldn't push them across, huh?
Who was the fourth one too?
Padres. It was a 4-game series.
It was a 4-game series. Okay, I assumed.
We had the random. We were one of the few teams to play 4-game series opening weekend, and did not at all take advantage of it. Now we get to go to the Dodgers and possibly start the season 0-7, and that's a pretty big hole even in a 162-game season.
Yep.
But any other MSU sports stuff?
Yeah, the Bulldogs will travel to Memphis on Tuesday, and then South Carolina comes to town. So chances to get it back. Got to start building. From the reporters here at State, it doesn't seem like Chris Lemonis is going to be fired anytime soon. Most of them, a few at least, quoting that firing him right now would be premature.
That's insane.
Would not be something that would solve the problem. The stats don't lie. He has twice as many SEC losses as he does wins. So, you can't really counter that stat. That's kind of a hard one. And when you play in the best baseball conference in the country, you got to win SEC games because you play 30 of them. So you need to be successful there.
It's hard, but you can find a coach out there that can do it, especially with the resources State has. I'm surprised that they think it'd be premature to fire him.
The tweet you're talking about, the Steve Robertson tweet, he did say that was he did go and say he didn't think that. He is telling you what he's hearing from the inside. So
sure, but I more meant the people on the inside
fair.
thinking that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just mean that in the sense of they won't fire him mid-season and they're just going to wait till the end of the season. But I don't really know what to do with that. It's pretty frustrating. Go support the softball team, I guess.
Yep.
Putting together a good season. Get out to
Facts.
What's the name? I don't know how to pronounce it.
News Park.
News
Go
Park.
spread the news. That's what we say.
Mm-hmm.
Spread
That's kind
the
of fire.
I almost wore my Spread the News shirt.
You should have.
You can go get it right now.
This campus is very ready to support winning teams. They're pretty desperate for it.
We saw that with soccer.
I was about to say exactly that. We saw it with the soccer team this past season when they were great and they hosted playoff games and they were putting up record crowds and stuff. And you have the chance to get behind another team like that in softball. So if you're really frustrated with the baseball team,
spread the news.
I'm not saying stop supporting the boys because I don't necessarily think that's the answer. But spread the news.
All right. What's up next?
Sweet 16, Elite 8 recap. Chalk Madness. Not even Chalk Madness. It's just March Chalk. All 4 1 seeds have reached the Final Four for the second time in history.
First one was 2008.
2008, also in San Antonio. This was something you could see kind of happening going into the tournament with how good the 1 seeds were. So I'm really not even too upset all 4 1 seeds made it. I just wish there were more madness around that. We had some good games this weekend, I won't lie, even though it was pretty chalky. Some close games. I really enjoyed the Texas Tech Arkansas game. A big comeback there. And then Texas Tech got the Uno reverse pulled on them in Florida.
Yep.
Snatch victory from the claws of defeat in that game. Texas Tech kind of gave it to him, but I'll kick to y'all first. Any games stick out? Any performances?
Walter Clayton again. Whenever I watch him, it's just like this feels so unconventional.
He's a herky-jerky player a little bit.
Yeah, his form isn't necessarily, like I've said that multiple times, his form isn't necessarily the greatest, but man, he just makes the shot when he needs to make it. And he did that twice. He did that, well, not twice, but he did that in the UConn game, and he's done that now in the Texas Tech game. And now they'll get a rematch with Auburn in the first Final Four game, who they blew out by 20 in the Plains.
Yeah.
Florida currently favored by 2.5. So Walter Clayton stood out to me a ton. And then the other one that stood out to me is Duke is so damn good. They're
a wagon.
They're so impressive. Their motor defensively and offensively is just off the charts. Flag is arguably as good defensively as he is offensively. Their sets are amazing. John Shire does an awesome job taking advantage of the talent he has. And putting them in spots and running plays that you wouldn't. Like, State doesn't have a seven-footer who can just catch lobs from everywhere. Yeah. Duke has that in Malawak, correct? Malawak.
Yeah.
Malawak, that guy can catch anything.
It's fun to watch.
Throw it down. So when you have that, you just kind of run all those lob plays that are just run to perfection. Did they get lucky or did they shut down Alabama? That was my final storyline. Alabama, 25 threes against BYU, 8 against Duke. They shoot 25% from the three. Again, this Nate Oates philosophy of run and gun, shoot a ton of threes, goes out in flames. And I kind of question if this is a team that can ever get it done in single elimination. I know somebody said.
I was going to say, one of my friends had the take that they're built for a best-of-7 series, and I actually really like that take. It's kind of similar to the Celtics in terms of, like, okay, in a game of 7 series, if we shoot the 3-ball bad once or twice, who cares? We're not out of it. But in March Madness, you shoot the 3-ball bad one game, and it could be over for you. Weren't Alabama preseason favorites coming to the season? In a lot of places, they were looked at that highly.
Up there, yes.
So it does hurt to not even make the Final Four. The Duke draw is tough. Nate Oates wasn't too happy about it. He mentioned post-game, he's like, we got to work hard to get the number 1 seed so we can, like, get over the hump. I don't know if that's the right mentality to have. You're a 2 seed. When you reach the Elite, you're going to have to play another good team anyway.
Yeah.
That was a great game, and, I mean, we even saw Cooper Flag did not shoot the ball very well in that game, and it didn't matter because Duke is just so talented. The intensity they play with is just unreal, especially defensively. They just don't give you anything easy. There were so many times in that game, and some even in the BYU game. Not the BYU game. Sorry, the Arizona game. Where it's like, oh, Arizona or Bama have like a good look or an easy layup, and then Cooper Flag or Malawak would fly out of nowhere, pin it off the glass, and then they get run in transition. Gonka Nipple's great. I kind of want that team to win it all. I'm not even a Duke fan. I kind of dislike Duke, but this team is just pretty fun and pretty special for college basketball.
They're going to win it.
It's just kind of unreal. I agree. All the other 1 seeds are good too. I mean, I mentioned earlier it's a historic year in terms of how good all 4 1 seeds are, and they all 4 made the Final Four. I think Duke's just a different level overall. Sanders?
I feel like the least likely team, 1 seed to win it, will be Auburn. And I mean, I've picked Auburn to lose, I think, every round of the tournament.
Yeah, we're coming across as Auburn haters, which honestly, for me at least, is probably pretty accurate.
Yes.
Auburn, great job getting to the Final Four. I think they got a pretty favorable path, which they took full advantage of, and they've played pretty well. Jedi Broom has been big in a lot of these postseason games, except my dog, Ryan Kalkbrenner, shut him down. You know, what can you do? But I agree. In my head, before the show, I was like, if I had to rank the 4 teams left, I would go Duke 1, Florida 2, Houston 3, Auburn 4 is how I would have them. And I think that would be a pretty fair consensus probably from a lot of people.
And for Houston, it'll come down to can they make the other team play the way. Like it depends on what the game of basketball looks like.
Sure.
I mean, if it turns into, I mean, you talk about A&M, like A&M wins games by making the other team play their way, and then they just play their way better.
Yeah.
If Houston can keep it a low-scoring game, I think Houston will end up winning. Could end up winning.
They could
against a Duke or a Florida.
The thing I'm worried about is I feel like Duke is like we'll just play whatever game and just win. We don't care because we're better. We have better athletes. We have better shooters. And their coach, John Shire's done a great job. I mean, he had huge shoes to fill when Coach K retired, and he's passed so far with flying colors. I mean, sure, born on third base, say what you want to say, but he's done a very good job, and I've enjoyed watching him. I think he's the right coach for the job there.
I just you
no,
continue.
No, you good.
Okay, I don't know if Houston can slow this team down. I mean,
it would be so hard.
Their lowest point scored so far in their 4 March Madness games was 85, and that was against Alabama.
Yeah.
A team they've shown that when a team wants to pick up the pace in the Arizona game and in the Bama game, they can play with that pace and they play it. They honestly play it better than the other team.
Yeah,
which is
I
crazy.
Agree.
And I think their sets are so good that even in the half court against Houston, where they'll like to slow it down a ton, I just don't. The big thing for them is their motor. Flag's motor is insane. It's just they never really take a possession off, a single second off, and Houston's going to slow it down and try to bleed all 30 seconds off. I don't think that's going to phase this Duke team at all.
I agree.
Duke only currently favored by 4.5. The better in me would love to put a lot of money on Duke to cover that easily. In my opinion, I think they're too.
What's the over/under?
That's a good question. I can look it up. But I just think they're too powerful. I mean, 85 points, their lowest points in a game against Alabama. It's just how can you stop this team? The only team I think that can stop them that's left is Florida.
Yeah.
And Florida won't stop them. They'll just outscore them.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And it's hard because I don't even dislike this Houston team. This is one of the best iterations of the Houston team we've seen. I just think Duke's that good. I mean, even guys like Sion James, Tyrese Proctor, we've not even mentioned yet. The floor always has 5 guys on it that are really, really good at basketball. You know, could potentially play in the pros one day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just they're everywhere on that team, and they just go, go, go.
And yet JP thinks that Cooper Flagg is willing this team, carrying this.
I do think he's the tone setter for his team.
I 100% agree with Jack there. Without him, I don't think this team is near as complete as it is. Even with, like Jack said, all of these guys are just so damn good at basketball, both ends. But Flagg really sets the tone. He forces the eyes a ton. I think, his offensive prowess is obviously substantial. He just does everything so darn well. He runs the fast break really well and fills the lane and then finishes at the rim. He's good in the one-on-one. He's good drawing fouls late in the shot clock. Defensively, he's good on ball. He's good in drop coverage. He's good in help. I mean, we saw multiple highlights of him. The guy's just like, oh, I've got the open layup, and then Cooper Flagg jumps 6 feet in the air and swats it into the crowd.
I've been very impressed with his passing as well.
His passing has been
postseason. All the lobs he's thrown, a couple kickouts to threes. Really been impressed with the vision and feel for that part of the game as well.
Yeah, and I going back to that Player of the Year conversation that we had, Janai Broom's been playing very, very well as well. He's kind of been unstoppable for a sense, and it's because his post moves are just insane. And in college basketball, if you're good in the post, you're going to score a ton of points. Yeah. I think Florida's going to have the bodies to throw at him again and slow him down. And obviously with Duke, they've got the height to withstand that, and they play so well in help defense. I just don't see that. Yeah, Flagg is willing them. He's the tone setter. He's not. He's putting up substantial performances. And in the Arizona game, it was 36-5. He played well in the Alabama game again as well. He's the real deal, and he's huge for white people. we kind of need someone like that to kind of step up for us. And I think he's massive, specifically for the conversations of has this game gotten too global, and now like when LeBron and Curry and Durant leave, are we going to win the gold medal? I think he's that good that he could carry
Yeah.
a gold
I mean,
medal
he
team.
competed against the Team USA as a 17-year-old, right?
And
like
did well.
Last Olympic cycle.
Mhm.
I do talk about Cooper Flag for a couple more minutes, and then about Janai Broom, his injury. I don't know if we know anything about that.
He came back and played in the game and looked fine.
Yeah.
I looked fine. Really? Did you watch he never used his right arm? Did you watch him?
Well, he's left-handed.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, if you watch him, he would put out a hand of defense, and his right arm's hung limp.
Sure.
I don't know.
I
If
guess
I call
that's
that looking fine.
I mean, I guess I more meant performance-wise. He looked
No.
fine.
Performance-wise, but at one point there was a pass he caught. He caught it with his left hand and then palmed it and passed it.
I have seen no update regarding
Yeah,
his injury.
I just checked Twitter. I haven't seen anything.
So that is, I guess, something to look out for. Because if he, for some reason, can't go, I think the Auburn team, considering as we already view it as the weakest of the 1 seeds, would be in a bit of trouble.
They play so much through him.
Yeah.
They're very similar to the Tolu Smith State teams, where it's feeding the post, and then he kind of reads. It's like Jokic with the Nuggets, feed the guy in the post, and then he'll make the right read. He'll either score on you or he finds someone open.
Yeah.
So yeah, without him, they are toast.
Yeah, I would agree.
It seems like early implications are he will play, though, given that the spread is only 2.5.
And
Yeah.
They played Florida once this year.
And Florida beat him at Auburn.
Auburn, yep.
I mean, I agree. I like Florida's front court depth is tailor-made to stop a guy like Janai Broom. Just kind of 4 different guys that you could throw at him with kind of hand-locked in Howe, Chinaloo, and Condon. There we go. It's a great stable of guys there. And I even wonder if there's a team that could even afford to bring doubles to Janai Broom and kind of go from there.
JP, did you ever say the over/under for that Houston Duke game?
136.
Yeah.
and a half.
That's what I was just looking at. And compared to the Florida Auburn game, which is 160 and a half. So that's a 24-point difference.
That's insane, actually.
Yeah. I think we need to address not necessarily the elephant in the room, but the Maryland Terrapins.
Oh, okay, I had something else in mind, but sure.
We can go to whatever you're thinking about next. Went down in the Sweet 16 to Florida. We had them winning our group bracket. Sanders
we were all on
was
board.
anti
We were
that.
locked in.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Tough. What can you say? And it has since come out that their head coach Kevin Williard has taken the Nova job, and kind of didn't really seem like he was 2 feet in at Maryland through the tournament run. Rumors he was missing team dinners and stuff like that. Not a great look for him. I don't necessarily know if he handled it the best. I get it's a very tough situation. Not trying to hate too hard. Man, it sucks the Crab Five went out the way they did, kind of with a whimper. It almost a team that felt like they deserved more, but couldn't get it done for us.
They were in it in that first half. It was 40-38 after the first half.
Yeah.
But I think just a bad draw.
It really
Maybe
was.
we should have listened to Sanders that Florida is that damn good, because they are.
They are. They are, but they've had a couple big scares, and once again, props to them for getting it done. I want to talk about the Florida Texas Tech game.
Yeah, go ahead.
In a minute, unless Sanders, you have anything to add about the Maryland team that lost?
Well, this is tangentially related. I wanted to talk. Remember 2 shows ago when I ended the show with one thing and said there was something else that I forgot about?
Sure. I'm not going to remember that,
Yes,
but
but
I'll agree that happened.
I think that I just remembered what it was. I want to talk about the Will Wade situation, but we don't do that now. It's just the Maryland job change.
We're on topic.
Okay,
we can talk about
we'll
it
talk,
now.
So it was not about the job change, but how he handled it. I personally kind of liked how he handled it. And I was talking about that with someone, and they didn't. So basically, Will Wade told the media while McNeese, the team he was coaching, was still in the tournament, he said, yes, I'm in conversations with NC State to become the next head coach there. I've told the team that. They know. And that was kind of, I think, all he said to the media. I don't remember him saying anything else.
That's as far as I remember.
Yes. I personally am kind of a fan of that. And this is how I've never played competitive high school sports, college sports, so I don't know how the interactions and where the coach would go. But my brain kind of thinks that, all right, if I'm a player and my coach comes to me, and if this is how Will Wade said it, guys, I'm not going to be the coach here next season. Like I will not be here next season. However, like I am all in. You're going to hear rumors about. I want to cut those rumors off now by letting you know that yes, I am in talks with other people. But that's all that's happening. I'm not recruiting for NC State. I'm not talking to boosters at NC State. I probably will be the head coach there next year, but this season, like, we still have games to play here at McNeese.
Yeah.
If that's how he approached it, I personally kind of like that because guys are going to hear those rumors of, well, is coach leaving? Like, I feel like it kind of could be healthier for him to just address that and cut it off there and say, yeah, I'm going to leave next year. I'm not left yet. I'm not doing anything for them yet, but just so we're on the same page. And then also that kind of lets the players, I feel like, play with a clearer head of, like, not having to worry about, well, is he leaving? Like, they're in on the loop. They know what's happening. Yeah. I personally liked it. I've heard people say that he did not handle it well. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I like the way Will Wade handled it, but I think it's a bit of a different situation looking at a smaller school than at a school like Maryland, where there's kind of the expectation already that he's going to leave. No one figured Will Wade was going to stick around. From the beginning, when they hired Will Wade, their AD knew this was basically like a rehab head coaching job. He can, like, stay clean, not break any rules at McNeese, and then move on. The players are using it as a stepping stone too. I mean,
True.
He talked about he's going to. Some of the players are looking to go with him and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot easier to do that at a school like McNeese State than a school at Maryland, where if you do that, you're a lot more in the public eye, and there's going to be a lot more public backlash from making that decision. And being vocal about it and honest about it, whether you think it's the right move or not, because I do see merits of doing it that way in terms of not upsetting players and stuff. But I do honestly wonder how much I know it does in some sense. I would just be, since I don't play college basketball. I'm curious how much it affects players overall, stuff like that. In terms of the Maryland's head coach, he had just been vocal for a while now about not being happy at the Maryland job and not feeling like he had the resources he wanted. So even before he probably started talking to Villanova, it was kind of an icky situation, and everyone knew he wasn't happy there. So I just kind of wonder, I don't know. I don't know what he could have done differently because he kind of messed it up from the jump, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
I kind of, my biggest gripe is that it's unfortunate because the calendar, and this goes for college football as well. The calendar is just terrible. The fact that these teams, that the transfer portal opens right before the Sweet 16, that's awful. And then the same for the coaches, that they can go to these other jobs in this time. I get it. These for over 85% of the country, their seasons are over. They're ready to take the next step at some of these universities. Their coaches are ready to move on and start their new life.
You can't just wait.
It's unfortunate that you can't wait. I wish it would just play out like the video game does, where you play out the entire season, and then, like in the College Football 25, you play out the entire season, and then you do your coaching carousel and your transfer portal and your late season recruiting. I wish that the calendar could just work that way, because it would solve so much with the sport. For the players, being a guy who's played on basketball teams, and specifically like playing at a high school and playing for a program, we were trying to build a program. It sucks to see and hear stuff like this.
Sure.
For a player's perspective, I don't care whether you're the senior going out and graduating, or you already know you're going to transfer to a big school. You play and you spend so much time with your teammates and your coaches and your trainers and in that building, that this becomes a family, and no one wants to see family leave. And it's like, well, why the hell did we put in all this work for that? Right when when everything's supposed to matter, the coach gets to up and leave. The players can enter the transfer portal. It sucks for the players specifically.
I agree.
I think it's just it can't help the mind. It can't help you focus, because it's just like, well, what about next year? Like, I thought I was going to be promised to start next year for this team, and now my coach is leaving, and this new coach can bring in a ton of transfers, and I may have to enter the portal. It brings so much uncertainty, and for the human, uncertainty is a killer.
Yeah.
Not knowing where you're going next, what's the next step, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next year, it will eat you alive. And I just feel for these college athletes that man, they're going through a lot of stress and turmoil with that. And then on top of that, they're supposed to perform on the highest stage. And if they don't perform, they're under the scrutiny of the fan base and the media. Oh, damn, dude, you were supposed to score 12 points. You didn't cash my parlay. You know, it's just they go through so much that I just wish that the calendar could just be fixed.
Yeah.
And move these coaching moves to after the season is over. And, you know, just allow these players to have at least one thing that's just not going to bother them. The season is the season. Play out the damn season.
I agree. It's the uncertainty thing is a killer. And it's like thinking about if I was a head coach, right? I would love to be like, well, I'm not going to leave my program, or I'm not even going to talk to other jobs until the season's over, right? But then you may just miss your opportunity. So it's pretty hard with the way it's set up to fault anyone. It just does kind of feel like where we're at, because even if there wasn't rumors about my head coach leaving, in the current landscape and era, it would be really hard to build trust anywhere because everyone's leaving, even my teammates, right? Talking about it being a family, you know, and you talked about your experience playing high school basketball. I mean, it was similar for me playing high school soccer, right? I mean, I do remember my sophomore year, our head coach, he was there for 1 year, and he told us he was leaving. And he was like, I got the job in the location I wanted, and, you know, up where I grew up with all my friends. And I was like, that's cool. And I was excited for him and happy for him. But at the same time, I was like, dang, that sucks for me. I was on JV at the time. He was the varsity head coach. I was, you know, I spent all year trying to prove to him that I, like, belonged on varsity as a starting goalkeeper in future years. And then he's just gone. Now I moved, so it didn't matter. I also jumped ship, I guess you could say. Yeah, I entered the portal. Unwillingly, I will say, you know.
Because your dad moved around so much.
Yeah, not actually. He moved around a couple times. This was one of them. So moved from Texas to Virginia.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's really tough that no matter how a coach handles it or whatnot, there's just so much uncertainty, and it's just kind of cooked in that standpoint currently. There's not a fix without an overhaul of the system, in my opinion. I don't want to get too much into that. So if any of y'all have any like other quick points to add on.
I was going to say I feel that the exact same thing. Like my freshman year of high school basketball, I started for the freshman team. I was one of our better players, and I practiced a ton with the then JV coach. Going to that sophomore year, he has to leave his job because he has family issues. A new coach comes in, and it sucks because it's like, oh, I was starting on freshman team. I'm about to start on JV team. All of a sudden, I'm the 10th guy on the JV team.
Yeah.
And then it just sets you back. And I'm now, in my junior year, I'm the 11th guy on the JV team. And senior year, it's like, oh, I could play varsity and be the 12th guy on the team, or I could just go and do something else. It sucks. It's unfortunate. It's not what people want. They want something planned. They want to be able to, you know, keep stepping forward.
They want stability.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, it really does suck. And part of it is that's life, right? No matter how perfect the system is, there's going to be instances where it just doesn't work out, and people get kind of, I don't know, burned.
Yeah.
Just because it's how it goes sometimes. But we're putting a system in place where we're allowing that to happen a ton, with no ramifications or really any like way to minimize that. Last thing I want to say on this topic is I really hope Maryland hires Buzz Williams. Rumors he wants the job, and is looking to get out of College Station. For reference, if you don't know the name, he's Texas A&M's head basketball coach. I'm an Aggie. I'm not a fan of Buzz Williams.
He's such a not a fan that I once asked Jack, I said, Jack, you're a 5-star. Jack is a diehard Aggies fan. You hear him talk about all the time. I said, Jack, if you're a 5-star player and Buzz Williams recruits you, what are you doing? And I think he said, I'm not answering.
I said I'd text him, Coach, I'm good. I'm not going here. And then I wouldn't answer anything from him again.
Yeah.
Twofold, I've always wanted him gone. Just because I don't think he's a good X's and O's coach. I think I understand we're not a basketball school, so I try and temper my expectations, but I would like to watch a fun basketball program, even if we're not good, and we are not that. We're a gross basketball program, and we just lost 8 seniors. We're not going to be good next year, and we probably won't be good next year even when he leaves because, you know, new head coach. So I've always wanted him gone. And then with the rumors that he wants out, he definitely needs to get this job now. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with a basketball coach that everyone knows doesn't want to be here, and that just isn't going to work out well. Maryland, I know I dog on Buzz Williams all the time. He's the guy for you. You want him to lead your program. I don't know. Just please, Buzz Williams. You want him. But, yeah, I don't know. The rumors I've seen is that he's on top of the board. The Vandy head coach would potentially get a look. Besides that, it really doesn't seem like there's a ton of great options for them to pursue because they're another program that really doesn't have, like, high-end NIL stuff. So you're not going to poach someone from a high program unless they decide to up their resources.
I'd say the whole reason their coach left is because of a lack of resources.
Correct. So you're just not going to bring in a big name. And low-key, if you want to maximize results with not tons of NIL and stuff, Buzz Williams may be your guy because he just finds a way to put together scrappy teams that find a way to win. So maybe he's who they'd want. Anyway, we can get back to...
Are there any Will Wade type of guys on the market? Like guys who have something that they've screwed up in the past couple of years and are looking to get back in?
Not to my knowledge. Those are kind of gone. I mean, there's always a couple mid-major coaches, I'm sure, that, can get good looks and are considered good X's and O's guys that could be looking to make the jump.
Wade was a former, he was an LSU coach, and he went to the Elite Eight there, Sweet 16 there.
I can't.
I don't know how far he went. I don't think he honestly spent a crazy amount of time at LSU before he got busted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we can get back, besides that tangent about just kind of NBA scheduling and culture in general, NCAA basketball scheduling and culture in general, and about the Maryland job. We can get back to the tournament. We were talking about the Maryland-Florida game. I want to talk about the Florida-Texas Tech game.
Please do.
I had Texas Tech going to the finals of my bracket. It was looking great. Texas Tech was up 9 with 3 minutes left.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
2 minutes, 30 seconds left. They had a 95% chance to win according to ESPN. Florida hits a 3, cuts it to 6. Tech gets fouled, misses the front end of a 1-and-1. Florida comes down, hits a 3. Texas Tech gets fouled again, misses another front end of a 1-on-1. Florida comes down and hits a 3, and suddenly it's a tie game. Texas Tech goes down, gets a bucket. Florida comes back, hits another 3 to take the lead, and they ended up winning it from there. Devastating to watch. Texas Tech choked the game away, in my opinion. They had another moment late where they were down late, one-possession game. Florida's about to commit a 10-second violation, and I understand it's very tough to know the time in that situation because you're thinking in that moment, we have to foul, but they foul with 21 seconds left on the shot clock. They had to wait one more second. He was not going to get across. There was no way. It was a guaranteed 10-second violation. He fouls, sends Florida to the line. Just a comedy of errors and just maybe not even comedy of errors. There are just a lot of missed opportunities. Missing two front ends is just brutal down the stretch. Props to Florida because Tech opened the door for them, and they did not miss an opportunity to make Texas Tech pay for not putting the game away. Walter Clayton, you already talked about, and hit big shots. How their center hit big shots. Florida made all the plays down the stretch to capitalize on Texas Tech's mistake. But in my eyes, Texas Tech had the game in the bag. They just had to execute, and they didn't. So I still feel like Texas Tech choked the game, even with how Florida played down the stretch.
Yeah, to be in the spot that they were, here's your, as Josh Pate would call it, a bad luck stat. At least it would have been if Texas Tech pulled it off. The free throw advantage, Florida shot 27 free throws, made 25. Texas Tech shot 13, made 7. So a big discrepancy there.
Yeah.
And then three-point percentage, they're both sitting at 37%. And I think Texas Tech, if you were told those things coming to the game, you would think, oh, we're in a great spot. And they won the turnover battle, too. Florida turns it over 12 times, Texas Tech 7, and yet they couldn't finish down the stretch. Missing my coach, my freshman year basketball coach always said, layups and free throws. Those will win and lose you games every single time. And for Texas Tech to leave 6 points at the foul line, 7 for 13, it lost them the game. It straight up did. And credit to Florida for hitting those shots down the stretch. But for them to be in that spot, and it really felt like they had complete control over that game.
They really did.
And that was not even for just at 3 minutes left. For from 8 minutes into 3 minutes, they kind of took over. They were getting stops. Florida was forcing some bad shots. Their defense was really showing.
Florida didn't want to stop the pick and roll.
Yeah, JT Toppin was just getting to the paint at ease. They were covering the pick and roll the same way every single time. So JT Toppin just gets it on 2 feet, standing right in front of the restricted area, and so he just cooks and goes to work.
They couldn't stop Darian Williams one-on-one because he was just too big, and they didn't double because Tech has too many shooters.
Yeah, Darian Williams was posting up. He was getting to his left shoulder, hitting that little baby hook. A tough one for shout-out CT, the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, big win for Florida. Sanders, you have anything to add?
No, I was just looking at the shooting percentages, and it's kind of crazy how identical they are, except for that free throw. So they both shot 43% from the field, 37% from the 3-point line. If either team had shot the other, so if Florida had shot 53.8% from the line, Texas Tech would have won. If Texas Tech had shot 92.6% like Florida had, it would have gone to OT. So it's like if Texas Tech could have just shot not an expected amount, but like hung with Florida, you get OT. Who knows what happens?
So. I mean, they didn't even send bad free throw shooters to the line for one-on-one. Williams is over an 80% free throw shooter, and Toppin's not fantastic, but he is over 70%.
Goes 0 for 5.
0 for 5.
Yeah,
it's
just brutal. He didn't really.
He was all there. It was him. Williams had 1 miss, and then Toppin had the other 5.
Toppin had that good stretch where they're running him. They would give him the kind of the short pass out of the pick and roll, so he could catch it like inside the free throw line, and that would give him time to get downhill. It wasn't really a deep post up. That little stretch you're talking about, he played well. Besides that, he really did struggle a lot with Florida's height. I would say, especially in the first half.
They got 4 guys they can throw at you, and Condon, Chinaloo, Howe, and Logden. That's right.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to say that.
It's
name.
a tough one. Yeah, he definitely struggled a little bit with that. Once again, I mean, had him in my finals. It was feeling like a perfect fade pick. Like, I'm in the top of the bracket group, and this is a place I could really gain points, and it doesn't happen and crashes and burns. So I was a little unwell on my couch as that was unfolding.
Oh yeah, who's the check what the bracket standings are real quick. I think it's UNC shouldn't be in
is number
first,
1.
I
Yeah.
think.
And they're an interesting spot if they have Houston winning. So if Houston wins, it's kind of all theirs.
Yeah, it's actually that's my younger brother.
It is, yeah.
And so I was talking about that with him today, and he was breaking it down for me. He was like, "All right, if Houston wins, I'm guaranteed to win. If Duke wins, he's out."
Yeah, I mean, if Duke wins, someone that has Duke winning will do it. But
yeah,
excuse me. Thoughts on the Tennessee-Houston game earlier. A little ugly, to say the least, for Tennessee.
Yeah, where JP was wrong. Chaz Lanier did not cook, unfortunately.
that guy on Twitter was right.
Well, I mean,
He was talking about Kentucky.
Kentucky
so.
still lost.
Yeah.
The Kentucky did not cook them. Chaz Lanier scored 18 points in that game, but yeah, Tennessee just struggled so much. This was also a case of overinflated balls, in my opinion.
Sure.
A lot of hard rim outs. Indianapolis and then Atlanta were the two, in my opinion, where it's just overinflated ball was really not helping these shooters a ton. Tennessee, yeah, I mean, the Rick Barnes curse continues. Tennessee still has 0 Final Fours. For a program and a university that is kind of, they think at least that they're, becoming elite in every single sport. For them to still not be able to get it done against, in my opinion, the most gettable 1 seed. Auburn is pretty. I mean, Auburn you could argue easily, but I think Houston was the easiest one to get to, just because of the pace that they play.
That's fair. I don't think it was the most gettable potentially for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like a terrible matchup for Tennessee. I just feel like if you have limited offensive options, Houston's going to just be able to shut that down all day with the defenders they have.
Yep. It was it's Chaz Lanier or bust, and unfortunately,
that's food for Houston.
Yeah,
not great. And then we've talked about the other 3 Elite 8 matchups, so we can go in and we touched on it a little bit. We can go and kind of round it out with the Houston-Michigan State game.
The Auburn.
The Auburn-Michigan State game. Auburn comes with a 6-point win. We had the Janai Broom injury scare. Michigan State started off the game too bad.
Well,
they got an early hole.
Yeah, it was 8-10 going into the first timeout with about 14 minutes left, and then Auburn goes on a 10-0 run, and they just kept the double-digit lead for the entirety of the game.
Yeah. It didn't really feel like a 6-point win for Auburn, honestly. It was, Michigan State cut into it a little bit in crunch time, but it was never really a stressful or very. I'm sure for Auburn fans, they were very stressed. As an outsider, it didn't really seem like it was that big of a deal. Auburn did not shoot the ball very well in this game either, but Michigan State, the story was limited shooting was probably going to catch them at some point, and I think it kind of finally did.
Michigan State also gets kind of shafted here in terms of regional location. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
was basically a road game for Michigan State, and that's just the unfortunate scenario where you're the lowest 8 or 2 seed, so you just kind of get put in a bad regional spot.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, the Auburn crowd was showing there, that's for sure.
Agreed.
It kind of felt starting about the 5-minute mark down to about the 1-minute mark, like Michigan State. If Michigan State scored, Auburn was going to score, and if Michigan State got a stop, they weren't scoring. But I don't know that a team scored consecutive baskets for like a 3 or 4. At least it didn't feel like it. I mean, it was a very back and forth. Auburn did a very good job of keeping that 10-point lead. Michigan State did a good job of not letting them push it out. It hovered right there.
Sure.
And so that 10-0 run really came down to be the difference, because if that doesn't happen, I mean, that now you're talking about a tie game going back and forth instead of that 10-point lead. So it was very tough to see Michigan State could not get a stop when they needed it, or couldn't score after they got a stop. So it was a lot of punches traded back and forth.
Yeah. Definitely a good season for Michigan State compared to kind of their preseason expectations, how they started the year. Tom Izzo wouldn't tell you that. I'm pretty sure he said earlier in the week he's turned off by anything but a national championship, just because that's kind of the coach who he is, and he's done it before. Made for a pretty funny on-3 graphic. If you know, you know. But yeah, so again, he wouldn't tell you it was a good season, but I think it was a good season for both Michigan schools, Michigan State and then Michigan, who lost in the Sweet 16 to Auburn. Auburn took them both out. But year one under Dusty May was good. So that leaves us with the Final Four of Auburn versus Florida on one side, and then we have Duke versus Houston on the other side. I really, really hope we get good games here, because it just kind of feels like we deserve it after the lack of madness to just kind of have an all-timer Final Four with 3 really great games.
Yeah, I mean, the best seed won in every single Sweet 16 game. We're going to break down these matchups in depth.
Yes.
In Wednesday's, well, I guess Thursday morning's episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely hoping for some good games. I know the public certainly is. I would kind of lean that we're not going to have it. I kind of feel like we won't have a good game until the national championship.
Sure.
I don't think it's a good matchup for Houston, because Duke is just outstanding. Duke is a bad matchup for everybody, except for the Clemson Tigers. Shout out to the Clemson Tigers. And then Auburn and Florida. I think Florida just matches up with Auburn so damn well. We'll see, though. I mean, that's Florida's first time on that kind of stage. It's Auburn's first time with this kind of team, but it's not Bruce Pearl's first time at the Final Four. And I know they've got some, especially Bruce Pearl's got some demons they want to exercise after the bad loss to Virginia and fouling Kyle Guy. And
was a foul.
It was,
for the record.
The guy I've talked about who he did the football top 25, huge Auburn fan.
Charles Marchman.
Yeah, he.
Sorry for Charles Marchman, but yeah, go ahead.
Doxed.
He'll be fine.
A huge Auburn fan, one of the biggest Auburn fans I know. Huge ball talker. He texts me a couple times a month talking about sports. Anyway, I watched that game with him. Or we were it was a big group of us, so I watched it with him, and he was he thought it was not a foul.
The bigger question is they missed the Ty Jerome double dribble in the backcourt.
Sure.
Prior to the shot going up, hard to fault them too much for that, because literally no one caught it in real time.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a weird little he just kind of lost the ball there for a minute. Definitely was a foul in the corner in my opinion. My dad went to UVA. So I'm not a UVA fan, but I am kind of by association. I was a fan for that run.
Cool.
I was in my friend's basement. I threw my phone and I put a little dent in his wall.
That's crazy.
I was watching on my phone. We were playing Fortnite.
So you were pulling for
and I was
Auburn
like,
then.
well, yeah, I was pulling for Auburn. I don't remember why, but
That's
I
a
was.
crazy.
And I just like swatted my phone, and it, my phone perfectly fine, no cracks in it. I didn't have a good case on it, but the walls dented. So
That's
it was,
crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Do we need to address your elephant in the room you said earlier?
Oh, it was the overinflated balls.
Yeah.
I already addressed that.
He's a huge overinflated balls conspiracy theorist, which I do think there's some validity to. But yeah, I do think it's interesting this Auburn-Florida matchup, and I don't want to go too much into it, but just Florida has.
Then don't.
Well, I'm going to just say this because I've already started.
Okay.
Florida's not looked. They've looked beatable in a couple games, just a little out of sync sometimes offensively. And so I could, if they continue that, I could see Auburn being able to take advantage of that. But in theory, I like the matchup for Florida.
All of these teams have looked beatable except for Duke.
True.
Each of them have come down to the wire. Florida, UConn, Florida, Texas Tech, Houston, Purdue. I'd argue Houston Gonzaga was kind of close down the stretch. And then Auburn has looked good in this tournament, but prior to the tournament, they had lost, what was it, 3 of their last 5 or something?
Yeah, and those, I mean, the first 3 rounds, they were all close and going into halftime and even part of the second half in some of them, and then they just, they pulled away, which, like I said, they've all looked beatable besides Duke, or like you said, but props to them because they've all gotten this far. They've all won their games, and that's what matters most. But I think we can get into our last.
Well, no, I have.
You have something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Go ahead and clip this, please.
Gosh.
This is from Boots on the Ground in Statesboro, Georgia. GATA. Shout out Georgia Southern. I have some news to break here on the show. This came out 2 days ago, but breaking news here on the show. Bryson Broadway, second team All Sun Belt offensive lineman, is heading north for the next steps of his football career. He just signed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats out of the Canadian Football League on Friday. He started 2 years at Georgia Southern, had transferred from Georgia State. He will be a Tiger Cat for his next steps in football. And then another one, I have some sad news coming from the Georgia Southern campus. Freedom, their live bald eagle mascot, passed away on Saturday. He served the Golden Eagles for 21 years.
Dang.
Getting kind of emotional here. He was an American. Let's say that. He was an American.
Rest in peace,
He
Freedom.
passed away out of old age. There were some conspiracies from some that he was murdered. Not true.
Oh my gosh.
Not true at all. I don't know why people would find the guts, at least, to try and murder a bald eagle, but
That's named Freedom. I mean, he's an
exactly.
Just hunting bald eagles is illegal.
Exactly.
Like, that's crazy. So
But there were rumors that there were people drunk college students on the Georgia Southern campus where many of them would have firearms, put out a hit on Freedom. This is false, undeniably false. Freedom, unfortunately, passed away of old age on Saturday. So a moment of silence for Freedom. Thank you. All right, you can move on now.
Cool. Did not know that Freedom even existed, but that is very sad. And
I didn't know we were introducing a breaking news segment.
Congrats to that offensive lineman from Georgia Southern on his next steps.
Go Tiger Cats.
That's big. Go Hamilton Tiger Cats. But yeah, we can get down to some business. We have to name this chicken.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'll put it up.
If you're watching the video, it is now up on the screen. Once again, if you're just an audio listener, you can find it on any of our socials. It's a chicken juggling some balls.
All right, that's crazy.
Some sports balls.
Yeah, the football, baseball, soccer, basketball.
I was thinking on some names, couldn't really land on anything. I know, JP, you said you have a couple.
I've got 2, yeah.
Okay. Sanders, do you have anything?
No.
You have nothing? Give us your first, JP, and we'll break that one down.
My top one, my top one is Craig. That's my top one.
Okay.
My second one that I came up with right before the show is Chuck.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking Craig the chicken, Chuck the chicken.
Yeah.
alliteration there.
I'm right there with you.
I definitely prefer Chuck.
See, I think I'm on the Craig bandwagon personally.
Craig? Chuck the chicken, though?
Craig is just such an iconic name.
But Craig the chicken does not sound nearly as good as Chuck the chicken. Say
Chuck the chicken.
Okay, and now
Craig the chicken.
no, it just does not sound the same.
I just like the name Craig better overall.
Yeah, maybe if like a person, but it's a chicken.
The only thing of Chuck is like
He's
Chuck E.
our
Cheese,
chicken, though.
and
He's
it's the
not any
mouse.
chicken.
Yeah,
He's not a what chicken?
He's our chicken. He's not just any chicken.
He is our chicken.
he's a sports chicken.
Yes.
He is. He's like the Airbud of chickens.
Yeah,
Sure.
I
mean,
could get behind
Look
that.
at that. He's doing it all on one leg too. I mean, he's so nonchalant. He's got his leg crossed.
He does.
He's like doing like pistol squats while he does it.
That's next level coordination and strength.
Yeah.
I am curious the logistics of holding and catching a ball with a wing.
That's
That-
a good point.
Feels like you'd kind of have to,
Cradle it.
cradle it like this, or maybe just take both wings and like pin it.
I don't know. In the movie Rio, when they do it, they seem pretty.
They juggle in Rio.
In Rio 2, they play.
I've not
they
seen
play-
Rio
Rio
2.
2.
In Rio 2.
I
Sorry,
didn't even know there was a second one.
Oh, it's fire, dude. They go back to
The
the.
first one's fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love the
So
first
in
one.
Rio 2, they go to the jungle to find all the other blue macaws.
Okay.
And while they're there, they find out that like these blue macaws have a heated soccer rivalry with the red
dang.
macaws,
Hmm.
and like they play for like the land or whatever because there's a whole like fight or whatever. Anyway, they like actually I think they play with their feet and they fly.
That would make the most sense if
that's
it's
definitely-
soccer.
Yeah. They definitely just kick it around. Like they don't use their wings. Freak. I'm trying to think of
I'm-
another like.
I'm
chicken,
sure we could get, like,
bird.
An AI video of a chicken juggling.
We'll bring in your brother,
Sounds
who's an ADS major,
True.
and
Yeah, there you
he can
go.
probably get us a live chicken, and we can teach it to juggle
That is
on
true.
set.
That we could use that.
I think that's something we may have to look into.
A live
I'm gonna look
mascot for
up
the
and
show.
see if Foghorn Leghorn ever. juggled. I'm gonna specifically look up. Did Foghorn Leghorn ever juggle?
I definitely
we'll
feel
see if
like-
that
This show's gotten unhinged.
this show.
I mean,
This
we
segment,
had to
this
name a
segment.
chicken.
This is true.
It's
this is
not
true.
the most.
It's business. It's all business.
Yeah, but it's not the most serious business.
All right,
True,
nothing
true.
popped up the first time.
That's
but
Okay.
Foghorn Leghorn would be an absolute baller. I could see him playing
I
running back.
have an image
honestly.
of a chicken playing football in my head, like cradling the football.
This,
and like
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, have you seen Robin Hood?
Yes.
The cartoon Robin
Yes.
Hood. Oh my gosh, pull up the clip right now.
Dude, that was my
That's
favorite
what it
scene
is.
of that movie.
What's her name? Is it like Lady Cluck or something like that?
That sounds right.
I think
Dude,
that's what it is.
that
And
scene
man,
was
she
gas.
goes
That's
insane.
I wish I could screen share that. Hold up, I'm gonna pull it up on my.
If y'all have not the animated Robin Hood, where all the characters are animals, is great. You should watch it. But this clip alone, I remember loving as a child, because she goes like, I don't even know. It's like Beastquake, Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
on all the enemies, on all the rhinos as a lady chicken.
Turn your pastime
Pretty fire.
into your
Are we
full
doing-
time.
Watch
do a
it.
little watch.
You're-
All right, everyone.
no,
It's a minute. It's a minute long, right? That's gotta be legal.
that's it's too long. Probably.
But see, I don't think the full she
We'll put the
doesn't
link in
she
the
doesn't
bio.
run the touchdown for 30 seconds even.
Okay, you're right. Let me find the.
We can do a little clip of it
where
anyway.
is- Oh, here we
Here,
go.
here she
They do
goes.
that.
Okay, she's not even necessarily. Well, she acts like she is, but we'll get there. I'm so glad you brought that up because I also had that image in my head, and I'm glad we.
Does she not have a? Is she not?
I don't think she's actually.
I don't know. I
He's not a girl, though. Is the problem.
That is a problem.
Definitely a
We could just
dude
name him
chicken.
Cluck.
Cluck the chicken. That's an interesting name.
We may have to go with Cluck.
Cluck, Chuck, Craig. Number one in my opinion. I think
We may have to ask.
I will be
Uh,
putting the link to this
think
in
we
the
asked the
description of the
fans.
I think we asked the few fans we currently have, and we'll reconvene Wednesday with
the
an
result.
announcement on the name of
Where
our
should
chicken.
where should we put it?
It'll be on Twitter
Twitter?
for sure.
Twitter. Okay.
We could just do.
Can you do a YouTube? I don't know
We could
because I know
do
not all of our
maybe, but
listeners are on Twitter.
Let's do a
Twitter poll.
Twitter poll
All right.
or a YouTube poll if that's possible.
I don't
It
know
de-
if
it
we have
is.
enough current
Or we
to
could
make a
just
community
literally-
post.
Ooh.
That's
I
a
think
very
you have
good
to be at enough hours listened.
Hmm.
We will push it out as best as we can on socials. So
Absolutely.
just be on the lookout. And if we can't do a YouTube poll, if you want to comment on the YouTube video, your choice.
True.
Or
New
even throw out you can
suggestions.
throw out a new suggestion.
Yes.
Most likely to be one of the three we mentioned. So you may want to throw out a new suggestion and then also throw in a vote for one of the three, and we'll take those into account. And we may not do. If we come to a group consensus, that may override a poll winner, but we definitely will take in y'all's feedback.
That's a podcast to the people right now.
For sure.
Right
An
there.
important moment right here.
Yeah.
You can't have a no-name chicken be the face of our
No,
podcast.
no, no.
It just doesn't
Absolutely.
work.
Agreed.
Man, Lady Cluck, what a baller.
Literally, I'm so glad that you were able to.
Yep.
Because that's.
I don't know why.
what I had
I
in
mean,
my brain.
yeah.
That is the image I had in my.
Have
brain.
you ever seen that movie?
I don't think I've seen Robin Hood. No.
Did you watch
okay.
that? Did you watch the deleted scene, the short where he dies?
In the water?
Yeah, he like gets shot by an arrow. It's like not fully animated. It's like
And then they decided that was too
it's
dark.
like a frame a second. It's like the very
bare
like
bones.
the board. What's it called? The
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah.
vision board.
It's-
That's not actually what it is, but
creator board. I don't know. Anyway, so there's a deleted
Storyboard.
Scene. Storyboard. I think it's
that's what it
storyboard.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a storyboard of a deleted scene where he gets hit with one of the arrows that they shoot at him and like wanders into an old church, and then the female fox comes, and then the lion shows up like a dagger and is like, it's
Freaking
terrifying.
Prince
It,
John.
like, it gave me nightmares
Yeah.
as a kid. Like it's a very different vibe of Prince John.
I
than
think
the
that's
actual
why
movie.
they
yeah,
decided to go
probably.
more kid friendly, and
Probably.
he ends up escaping.
Yeah.
Probably a safe bet because I also probably been traumatized as a child. We've started to run to the theme that I'm not mad at, but the last 5 minutes of our every podcast becomes a off-topic
I don't hate it.
convo about whatever.
I don't hate it at all.
I don't hate it either.
All right,
But
this is gonna do numbers on TikTok. I can already.
Oh,
Lady Cluck is like that. That's all I'm gonna say. One last time. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or say to the peeps watching before we bounce?
nah, I think I'm good. I mean, I'm ready to get back in here for Wednesday's show.
Buzz Williams, you want the Maryland job. Maryland, you want Buzz Williams. Please.
Did you say that earlier in a way that we could clip that for the TikTok? I hope you did. That'd
I
be
don't know.
huge.
All I'm gonna say
That would
is
do some numbers amongst all your Aggie friends.
I've had a rough sports weekend. This would be huge. I'm thinking of the iconic picture of the guy where he's like the chains are breaking. You know what I'm talking about. That would be me if Buzz Williams was no longer the coach
all the time.
was no longer the coach of my basketball program.
Let's see. Do I have anything else to add? I don't know. We got some big episodes coming up, so
True.
stay tuned. We'll do our Final Four in depth breakdown Wednesday for Thursday. We'll do some reactions to the Final Four.
Along with question of the week.
Yeah, question of the
Winner,
week,
chicken
cock of the
dinner.
walk.
Our classic Wednesday segments will still be there,
Yep.
obviously.
Then the next show, we'll react to the Final Four. National Play of the Year will be announced that weekend, so we'll react to that, see who was right between Cooper Flag
Yep.
and Janai Broom. And then the following Wednesday,
Are we allowed to change our votes?
are you changing to Cooper Flag?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, he's
Are
been
you changing
so
to Cooper
good
Flag because you would vote for him now, or you think that's who's going to win?
because I would vote for him
Okay.
now.
I mean, I'm fine with a vote change.
Okay. Because when we did our first Player of the Year discussion, I would have voted for Janai Broom in that moment.
Sure.
Now I think I would vote for Cooper Flag.
You heard?
Yeah.
We can break that down later, though.
It's a consensus for sure.
And then in a week and a half, I'm ready. It's almost that time again. It's going to be a big weekend, Easter weekend, the Masters. I'm going to have a big breakdown on that. I'm going to talk about the Masters for about 45 and a half minutes.
I will sit here and say yes and for sure. Can't tell you if I've ever
Tiger
watched
Woods still
the
playing?
Masters.
Tiger Woods will not play in this
Is
year's
Bubba
Masters.
Watson, is he a golfer?
Bubba Watson, he's a champion, so he will most likely play in the Masters.
All right, so I know a golfer.
Scotty Scheffler's going to be there, I assume.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I know
Is
a
he going to be
golfer.
the
He's also the
Is he going to be a
defending
favorite?
champion. Yes, he's definitely
Okay.
the favorite.
Sound like a ball knower now.
Rory probably going to be the second favorite, but
Cool.
big weekend to break down. And then I'm grateful that we get a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
For that to watch the Masters.
We got to
That's pretty
figure out,
big.
are we going to do a Zoom podcast? That could be kind of fire. We just don't have the mic equipment, our voices.
Do we get the Monday off? Or do we get the Friday off?
I would imagine the Friday.
Then we can probably just still record Monday or Sunday night.
Oh, yeah. If that's the case.
So.
Cool.
Anyway, it's been a blast as always. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all Wednesday.
See ya.
Goodbye.